everybody, and welcome to Frankie Upcycles. Let's make something. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. Come along for the journey. I wasn't going to do a video on this because I was trying to use up some of those jeans. They were just in my way, and I was trying to clean up my craft room some I got so I couldn't even walk. Nevertheless, I was going to just cut these up and make appliques out of them. You know, just going to do a bunch of appliques. And I had already started on cutting these up. Now, these I hadn't started cutting up yet, but these I did. So I've already cut the waistband off, the butt off in the front, and then the legs. So as I was doing that, I was wanting to make, like I said, some appliques. And of course, you know, that's always good for a purse. But I've come across these right here, and I thought they were so cute. So it was some flower appliques. I come across a whole bunch of them as I was cleaning up in here. Now that one was a little busy. I don't know about that one. But anyway, I'm gonna trace some of these out and make me some new appliques. See, they got all kind on here. Okay, so out of all that other stuff, I've picked these leafy ones right here to make a flower with. And the reason I didn't want the rest of them, they was too tedious, there was too many of them, and I'm too lazy to cut them out. So anyway, I got these right here, and to keep this paper right here, because it's flimsy and it fits in my book real good, I traced it off on a piece of paper, and then I put it on here and I pinned each petal. Now I can cut it out. But now the way I got that on there, let me show you. I traced it in black first, and then I pinned it upside down so it would show through, and then I put it on my lamp right here, and then I just took the magic marker and went around each one of them. But you know, you ain't even got to do that. Ain't nothing but a bunch of squiggly lines. I mean, I could have just made some squiggly lines, I guess, but anyway, I've got one to use in case I want to do it again, and I'll just put that in my craft book. So I'll pin each one of these, and then I'll cut them all out. Okay, you know how I change my mind up as I go. What I've done is went ahead, those were on here on the black, and I didn't want to take them out, so what I decided to do is just cut this pair of pant leg off, the other pants, and I'm going to place them on there, and then I'll cut two out at the same time. You know what, I'm just feeling froggy. Why don't I just go ahead and make it 3 times? So I've cut me out one on the bottom half, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am getting me a new pair of scissors, evidently. I'm going to take it to my machine, and I'm just fixing to do me a seam down each petal. That way it's going to stay on my fabric, and then I can cut them out. So just going to do each one of them. I'm not going to pin this one. I'm just going to go and do it. Okay, that was quick and easy. I just got to cut them out now. And I'll just take the paper off of each one. Okay, so after I've done all of these, what I was going to do is just clip them along the sides. But even if I do that, you're not going to see the other ones that's under there. So what I'm fixing to do is just do a tiny little cut. My husband's out there cutting the grass, believe it or not. Guess what my husband's doing now? He's trimming my tree so I can see the road. And then I will go and I'll cut the smaller one, the first one. Get in there. And then I'll be able to see all 3 panels, if you will. Like that right there. Let's see. Well, I thought I did one somewhere. Oh, here it is. Like this right here. And then if I want to, then I can go in there and I can clip these right here. And it'll be like it's frayed out. There he went. And then it'll start looking more like leaf. Oh, too far out, sorry. Like that. Okay, so I've got them all cut out, and it's going to take me a little bit to go around just the blue part and snip these. But I'm going to do that because I think it'll look cute in the long run, and they'll just fray out. And then you can see more of the little, you can see more of the coloring under it. So, anyway, I'm decided, since I already have these, I might as well go ahead and put them on this. I don't want this zipper, so I'm just fixing to cut that rascal right off on both sides. Throw that part away. I'm going to just pull it in and make that a nice flat seam. And then I can put my flowers on here. They may reach around to the back a little bit. But before I do that, I want to make it just a tad bit deeper. So I'm going to sew this together. And then I'm going to take a piece of this and sew it along the bottom part of the this. And it'll make it a little bit longer for me. Guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to make no pockets. Anyway, I'm going to sew this on. I said I was going to sew this up first, but I'm not. I'm going to lay it out, put me a piece all the way around, and then I'll sew it together. Alright, so I cut that one long strip, and then I serged it in two right there, so I would have a long strip. So, and now what I'm fixing to do is just pin this along the line right here, and I'm going to take it to my machine, and I'm going to sew this half on right here, and that'll extend my purse. Because I got so much stuff I tote around, I don't need no small purse. What use is that? So, you know, it's like every time you need something, it's in that purse, but if you take it out, that's right, you need it. So I'm going to finish this up and sew this along this edge. I think I might make me a mini skirt. I'm just kidding. Okay, so where I cut that off, I need to cut it off with a little bit more because I've got those rivets right there on both ends, and I don't want to take a chance on hitting one of those. So I'm going to cut it off a little bit more down in under it. Can I say I'm sorry? I am, because I lied to you. Right through here is the inside of the outside of the pocket. And I do think I want to cut these off right here, this one, and just overlap it over here so I will have something on the inside. Sorry about that, I did lie to you. And then right here, I do not want this showing on the inside of my purse, but I don't want to make a liner. So what I'm going to do is take this leg right here, and I'm just going to cut me out a little square and sew it to the inside, and it'll cover up that white pocket, because I need the white pocket on the outside, you know, so it'll be functional. So I lied to you. It's a weakness. I'm just going to cut it right off the back of the pocket, just like this right here, and just top stitch it on. But look, let me show you this. I wonder if I'm cutting up something valuable. It says True Religion World Tour. Fashion for the Senses. Section blank, row blank, seat blank. Never heard of that. One pocket down. Okay, so I've got this one right here cut, and I got it pinned on, and that's going to hide that pocket. I've got this one right here cut, and I'm fixing to pin it on, and then I'm fixing to just sew it down both seams, and then I'll sew it across the top, and then I'll sew it across the bottom. Okay, I had some scraps left over, which I had to piece, but I did manage to get, I had to splice it 2 times to get this long piece on the inside. But anyway, I did get it, and it's going to be long enough. And to finish this edge off up here, I'm going to just lay it in there, and I'm going to sew all the way down and get me a nice edge for the top of my purse. Okay, before I go any further, I want to say that I'm going to have a handle of some kind. Now, I pulled this off of a purse I already had, and I think it's still in pretty good shape. So I've got this option, and then I did find this at the Goodwill for $2.99, and it's sort of tannish like, and I think that might probably go better with my purse. So I think I might use this. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of loop to put on these. Now, this is too thick to sew, that's why I cut it off. But I can always make it out of the black or enough scrap for this to attach it to. Now I say $2.99, so I don't know if I got a good deal or not. Say $3 for these. I don't know how much they are, so I'm hoping that was a good deal. Okay, so I've got my little strips made, and I just barely did have enough. All right, so I've got them all on. I've got them pinned on. Now I'm fixing to take them to my machine, and I'm gonna sew them on. You know, when you're doing stuff with small pieces, it's not a good idea to leave your stuff on the table. there's a leaf and there's a leaf. And I was going to clean this off, and I found two, so one of my flowers is 2 leaves short. All right, so I've got my pockets, and I've got my flowers on inside. You don't know if you can see that. Anyway, oh, I've still got a pin in there. And so now what I done was I just laid it flat, and here's was the end to the end when it was laid out. If that's making any sense to you. Anyway, I sewed it all the way across, sewed it down like I said I was going to do. Now I want to make box corners for these corners. Okay, so I want to make my box corner because I want it to be big at the bottom. So I'm going to come down about 3 inches, and I'm going to mark that right through there with my chalk, and come across here and I'll go across. I'm going to take it to my machine, and I'm going to sew that blue line right there so I can have that box bottom. Alright, so I've got both of them sewed across, got my box edges. Now I'm going to take it to my machine, and I'll cut that off, but before I do, I just want to check it and make sure everything's okay. Alright. And I've got the big wide box bottom. That is going to be nice. Look at there. It's a big wide bottom. Okay, got my flowers all sewed on. And what it's time to do, I went ahead and marked my where I wanted my handles to be. I put a chalk mark up through there. So that's where I'm going to put my loops. Now I've already pinned this one on, so when I get to sewing, I'm going to sew it. I'm going to sew this all the way across first, and that way it'll stay down. Then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to put my handle through, and then do it to the other side, and tuck that in on the other side, and that's going to create my holder for my handle. If that makes sense. I'm not a good explainer. I can show you, but I'm not a good explainer. Okay, plan B on my purse. So I've got all of this done. You know, I had to go all the way around and put them under each one. Well, when I go to do the back side, let me show you on this one. All right, so if I go to do it on the back side, and I try to put it under there and then down. It's too thick and my machine don't want to go over it. So what I've done is I took each one of these to the machine and I zigzagged across the edge. And so now when I go across it like this, I'm just going to lay it flat. Push that one in there so you don't see that one. Okay. Right here, I'm going to just sew across it and sew it flat. It was just too thick for my machine. Plan B. Okay, so I did manage to get them all on. I had to do the hand crank across these big heavy places right here. But, and so it won't be pulling down here so much to where it's so, you know, bulky. I'm going to do me a top stitch all the way around the top part of this up here. And it'll catch these as I go. Okay, so I had cut out a couple of triangles. I had them pinned on when I was trying to sew, and shouldn't have done that because it stuck me. Anyway, I've got 2 of these cut out, and I don't want to sew over the pocket because, you know, you can't get your hand in the pocket. So I'm going to put it on this heat bond, and I'm going to iron it on just to have a little something on that pocket on both sides. I already put it on there. Now let's see what it does. I'm going to cover it with a tea towel because I don't want any of that stuff on my iron. Ta-da! Yay! I'm going to do the other one. Okay, so for my final thing here, I've got my bag. There's my big bottom. Well, I don't want it to be sagging like that right there. So, I got this. I've used it. I've already taped it together and everything. Anyway, I use it when I use my glue gun. You get them at the Dollar Mart. They're those cutting things for meat and vegetables and stuff. I'm going to fold it in 2. I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to tape it so it'll stay, you know, flat. And I'm going to cover it with this. Now, the only reason I'm covering it with this is because it's handy. And nobody's going to see the inside of my purse anyway after I've got all my junk in there. So I'm fixing to do that, and then we'll slip it in there. Okay, I got it taped, but I changed my mind again. I'm always doing that. Here's a pair of straight-legged breeches that I was going to cut up anyway. And so it just slips down in there. All I got to do now is just sew up both ends. All right, that's going to work out just fine. Now, I wish it was a little thicker, you know. I'd like a piece of cardboard, but I just don't have no cardboard right now. I mean, if I get some, I'll do it. There's my pockets. I'm gonna take that out. Okay, and to finish this off, you know, you gotta have a snap or a Velcro. I chose a snap. So that way, your stuff don't fall out when it's in the car and you're turning sharp curves. You know, most of the time when I come in here in my craft room, I ain't got an idea of what I'm doing, you know, what I'm going to do. I just start pulling stuff out to see what I got, and, you know, it just becomes something when I'm through. So that's the same thing that happened with my purse today. So I just want to say sometimes I ain't got a clue what I'm doing until it's done. So, you know, it's just whatever it is, it is. Whatever will be, will be. I sound like, was it a Doris Day? All right, I just thought I'd throw that in there. It's a little tip from me to you. Make sure you got all your pins and needles and stuff out because it hurts. That's the one. That's the one I lost some petals on. There's the other one. But after I'd already done that, I sure ain't sewing them. You can't tell it. That white that you see on there is where that paper was. You know, I never did get it all picked off, but it ain't hurting me. And I know a lot about the pockets. But I do love the pockets, you know. So I got that one, the 2 on the inside, this one, this one, this one, this one. But I am going to tell you something. You know, when I put those panels on the side to cover up those pockets, the white pocket that was in there, well, look a mess. I had to take those back off so I could get in there to sew these. because what happened was is I was sewing over the top of the pocket, but I took that flap back off and I sewed them on and I sewed the flap back on. So just being honest with you, I made a boo-boo. I had to fix it. So that's what I did. I hope you like it. And like I said, thank y'all for sticking with me. I appreciate all you new and old subscribers, and hit those like buttons, those whatever you can find down there. Listen, God bless you, God bless your family, and y'all stay safe. Till next time, happy sewing.